Welcome to my channel.
And this is English Podcast Station.
Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive with us.
Yeah.
Today we're going to be looking at something that everybody has experience with.
Right.
And that is eating at a restaurant.
Yes.
But our deep dive today is going to be specifically focused on helping you
Okay.
pick up some useful phrases and vocabulary so you can confidently navigate any restaurant in an English-speaking environment.
I like that. You know what? I'm really excited about this one because there's something magical, I think, about being able to confidently order and enjoy a meal in another language.
Right.
It's like you're unlocking a secret door to a whole new world of flavors and experiences.
Yeah, and the sources that we have this time, which include language learning guides and podcast scripts, and even some real-life stories, they all focus on American English.
Okay.
And the subtle ways that you can make your spoken English sound more natural.
You know, I think that's what makes this deep dive so valuable.
Yeah.
Is that it highlights how interconnected language and culture are, especially when we're talking about something as universal as dining.
Okay, let's jump into it.
Great.
One of the first things that stood out to me was just this whole list of vocabulary.
Right.
Like essential vocabulary that you're going to need to know.
Yeah.
We've got everything from bistro,
Oh.
which is, by the way, a small casual French restaurant,
Okay.
to the not-so-pleasant food poisoning.
You know, speaking of food poisoning, one of the sources actually shares a story about someone getting sick from orange juice in Morocco.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good reminder to be cautious, especially when traveling.
Yeah.
What stood out to you about this story?
Well, it just highlights how important context is.
Wow.
Even something as simple as orange juice
Right.
can be risky in certain situations, you know? So the sources really emphasize being mindful of food safety.
Right.
Especially when trying new things.
Yeah, it makes you think twice about that street food vendor.
Yeah, exactly.
But on a lighter note, there were also some phrases that really caught my eye. Like, I'm not all that crazy about,
Yeah.
instead of just saying, I don't like.
Yeah. You know, that's a great example of how subtle word choices can make a big difference.
Yeah.
That first phrase
Right.
sounds a lot more polite and natural in a restaurant setting. It's
Yeah.
like you're gently expressing your preference without being too blunt.
It's like the difference between saying, that dress is hideous,
Yeah.
and that dress isn't really my style.
Exactly.
Same message, but deliver it in a much more diplomatic way.
Exactly. And that's what these sources are all about, giving you the tools to communicate effectively and respectfully in different situations.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of communication, there's one phrase that really jumped out at me.
Okay.
It was, you gotta give them a try.
I love that one.
Yeah.
It's so enthusiastic and encouraging.
Yeah.
Makes you want to try whatever they're talking about, even if it's something you've never had before.
What's interesting here is the use of contractions. Oh, yeah.
You know, saying you gotta instead of you have got to or you have to instantly makes it sound so much more
Yeah.
friendly and conversational.
It's like you're saying, hey, trust me on this one. You won't be disappointed.
Right. And that's a key takeaway, I think, for anyone learning English.
All right.
Contractions are your friends.
Yeah.
They make your English sound so much more natural and fluent, especially in informal settings like restaurants.
So it's not just about knowing the right words. It's about knowing how to use them in a way that feels natural and authentic.
Absolutely. And speaking of authentic, let's talk about the differences between appetizers and entrees.
Okay.
This is where cultural nuances can really come into play.
Yeah, that's a great point. I remember reading in one of the sources that in some cultures, it's all about sharing multiple small dishes.
Right.
While in American dining, there's a clear distinction between appetizers, which are like the starters, and the entrees, which are the main courses. Exactly. And understanding that difference can help you navigate the menu and order a meal that you'll actually enjoy.
Okay, so we've got the basics of vocabulary and cultural differences down.
Okay.
But what about the actual process of ordering?
Well, one of the sources actually breaks down a typical restaurant interaction step by step.
Okay.
And it starts with being greeted by the host.
Oh, right. And then you might be asked if you have a reservation.
Exactly. And that's where having a few key phrases up your sleeve can really come in handy.
Yeah.
Something like, I have a reservation for 2 under your name will make a great first impression.
It's about showing that you're comfortable and confident, even if you're still learning the language.
And that confidence can really enhance the whole dining experience. So like you're saying, I'm here to enjoy myself and embrace this cultural exchange.
So it's about more than just getting the food. It's about engaging with the culture and the people around you.
Absolutely. And that's where mastering restaurant English can really make a difference. It gives you the tools to not just survive, but thrive in an English-speaking environment.
All right, we've covered a lot of ground so far.
Okay.
But let's zoom in on a specific scenario dealing with allergies.
Yeah.
This is something that can be tricky even in your native language.
You're absolutely right. The sources provide some really helpful phrases for this.
Okay.
Like, I'm allergic to food item. Or, could you tell me if this dish contains allergen?
It's like having a script for those potentially awkward moments.
Exactly. And it shows how much thought and care go into creating these language learning resources.
Yeah.
They're not just teaching you words, they're equipping you with the tools to handle real life situations.
It's about empowering you to take control of your dining experience.
Yes.
And ensure that it's enjoyable and safe.
And speaking of safety, let's circle back to that food poisoning anecdote for a moment.
Oh, yeah.
It's a good reminder to be mindful of what you're eating.
Yeah.
Especially when traveling to new places.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
One of the sources actually provides a list of tips for avoiding food poisoning.
Okay.
Like being cautious with street food.
Right.
And making sure your food is cooked thoroughly.
Those are great tips. And it highlights the importance of doing your research before you travel. You familiarize yourself with local customs and food safety guidelines.
It's about being prepared and taking steps to protect your health.
Yes.
So you can fully enjoy the culinary adventure.
Right. And speaking of adventures, let's shift gears and talk about dining etiquette.
Okay.
The sources really emphasize how what's considered polite in one culture can be totally different in another.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
It is.
For example, we talked earlier about tipping in the U.S., but the sources point out that in Japan, it can actually be seen as insulting.
It's true.
It really makes you realize how much we take for granted.
Yeah.
In our own cultures, I would never have thought that tipping could be offensive.
And that's why these sources are so helpful.
Right.
They encourage listeners to do their research and learn about local customs before traveling.
Right.
It can prevent a lot of unintentional mistakes.
Like slurping noodles in Japan. The sources mention that that's totally acceptable there, but in the U.S., it might raise a few eyebrows.
Exactly. It's all about understanding the cultural context.
Right.
What might be considered rude in one place can be a sign of appreciation in another.
So what does this mean for our listener who wants to master restaurant English?
It means going beyond just vocabulary and grammar.
Okay.
It's about understanding the cultural nuances that surround dining. It can truly enrich the whole experience.
Okay, let's dive into some more practical tips.
All right.
One thing that stood out to me was the emphasis on pronunciation. Especially for common phrases.
Absolutely. The sources point out how native speakers often blend words together.
Oh, yeah.
Like, can I get the bill, please? Becomes more like, I get the bill, please.
It's subtle, but it makes a huge difference. It's like learning the rhythm of a language.
Yeah.
Not just the individual words.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
And the more you practice these patterns, the more natural and confident your spoken English will become.
And that confidence can make all the difference when you're in a new environment.
Right.
Speaking of which, the sources have some great tips for handling specific situations, like making a reservation.
Right. Something simple like I'd like to make a reservation for 2 can go a long way.
But what if you're not sure if they have availability?
The sources suggest something like, do you have any tables available this evening?
Okay.
It's clear, light, and it gets the point across.
Perfect. Now, what about dealing with allergies? I know that can be a bit tricky.
The sources have you covered there too. They provide phrases like, I'm allergic to shellfish. Or could you tell me if this dish contains nuts?
It's like having a handy script for those potentially awkward moments.
It really is. And it shows how these language resources can help you navigate real life situations.
Okay, we've talked about ordering etiquette and some specific scenarios.
Right.
What about understanding the menu?
Yeah.
Sometimes that can be a challenge in itself.
The sources offer some great advice for that.
Okay.
They suggest looking for familiar words or ingredients, even if the dish itself sounds unfamiliar.
And what about those times when you just have no idea what something is?
Don't be afraid to ask.
Okay.
The sources encourage you to ask your server for recommendations or explanations.
Okay.
It's a chance to learn something new and maybe even discover a new favorite dish.
It's about embracing the adventure and not letting fear hold you back.
Exactly. And who knows, you might even end up with a funny story to tell.
Right.
One of the sources actually shared an anecdote about someone who accidentally ordered snails because they didn't understand the menu.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
But it's a good reminder to be open to new experiences.
It is.
Sometimes the best meals are the ones you least expect.
Absolutely. And speaking of unexpected experiences, the sources also touch on the importance of being aware of local drinking customs.
Oh, right. Like how in some cultures, it's considered rude to refuse a drink.
Exactly. It's those little things that can make a big difference in how you're perceived.
So it's not just about what you say, it's about understanding the unspoken rules of social interaction.
And that's where mastering restaurant English goes beyond just language. It's about cultural fluency.
It's about connecting with people on a deeper level, even if you don't share the same native language.
Now, speaking of connection, let's talk about
Okay.
body language.
Oh, okay.
I was surprised how much the sources emphasize using nonverbal cues,
Yeah.
especially when there might be a language barrier.
It makes sense, though, doesn't it?
It does.
Even in our own language, we convey so much through facial expressions.
Right.
Gestures, even eye contact.
Absolutely, and the sources point out that this is especially helpful in restaurants.
Oh, okay.
You know, things like pointing to a menu item or making a gesture to indicate how much you want can really help get your message across.
That's so true. I've definitely used those tactics when traveling.
Yeah.
What about those times when you're trying to have a more in-depth conversation, though?
Well, the sources recommend speaking slowly and clearly
Okay.
and not being afraid to ask for clarification if you don't understand something.
It's about being patient and understanding that communication is a two-way street.
Absolutely. And it's also about embracing the humor
Yeah.
in those moments when things get lost in translation.
Right.
One of the sources shared a story about someone who accidentally complimented the waiter's hat
Oh, no.
when they were actually trying to ask for the bill.
I can just imagine the waiter's reaction. But those kinds of stories are what make traveling so memorable.
They really do. And they remind us that even when we make mistakes, we can still learn and grow from the experience.
Okay, we've covered so much ground today. From essential vocabulary and pronunciation tips to cultural nuances and practical advice for navigating different situations.
Right.
What are some key takeaways for our listener?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway is that mastering restaurant English is about more than just ordering food.
Okay.
It's about gaining the confidence to communicate effectively in a different culture.
It's about transforming a simple meal into a cultural adventure full of delicious discoveries and unexpected connections.
Exactly. And the sources have given us a fantastic toolkit to embark on that adventure.
So to our listener, we encourage you to take what you've learned today and put it into practice.
Yes.
Don't be afraid to step outside your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Try new things and embrace the joy of connecting with different cultures through the universal language of food.
And remember, even if you make mistakes, it's all part of the learning process.
That's right. So go out there, explore, and savor every bite of the experience.
Bon appétit.
And until next time, happy dining.
Body language.
Okay.
I was surprised how much the sources emphasized using nonverbal cues.
Yeah.
Especially when there might be a language barrier.
Right. Makes sense, though, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Even in our own language, we convey so much through facial expressions and gestures.
Right.
Even eye contact.
Absolutely. And the sources point out that this is especially helpful in restaurants.
Oh, okay.
Things like pointing to a menu item or making a gesture to indicate how much you want can really help get your message across.
That's true. Yeah, I've definitely used those tactics when traveling. But what about those times when you're trying to have a more in-depth conversation?
The sources recommend speaking slowly and clearly
Okay.
and not being afraid to ask for clarification if you don't understand something.
Right. It's about being patient and understanding that communication is a two-way street.
Absolutely. And it's also about embracing the humor in those moments when things get lost in translation. One of the sources shared a story about someone who accidentally complimented the waiter's hat when they were actually trying to ask for the bill.
Oh, I can just imagine the waiter's reaction. But those kinds of stories are what make traveling so memorable.
They really do. And they remind us that even when we make mistakes, we can still learn and grow from the experience.
Right. So it seems like the sources are really encouraging us to embrace those moments of potential awkwardness or miscommunication, because that's all part of the fun of
It's all part of the journey.
the journey. Yeah.
And it's those moments that often lead to the best stories.
The best stories. Absolutely. So we've covered so much ground today, from essential vocabulary and pronunciation tips to cultural nuances and practical advice for navigating different situations.
Yeah.
Do you have any final thoughts for our listener? What are some key takeaways?
I think the biggest takeaway is that mastering restaurant English is about more than just ordering food. It's about gaining the confidence to communicate effectively in a different culture and really immersing yourself in the whole experience.
So it's about transforming a simple meal into a cultural adventure,
Exactly.
full of delicious discoveries and unexpected connections.
Absolutely. The sources have given us a fantastic toolkit to embark on that adventure.
To our listener, we encourage you to take what you've learned today and put it into practice.
Yeah, go for it.
Don't be afraid to step outside your comfort zone, try new things, and embrace the joy of connecting with different cultures through the universal language of food.
And remember, even if you make mistakes, it's all part of the learning process.
That's right. So go out there, explore, and savor every bite of the experience.
Bon appétit!
And until next time, happy dining.